Chapter 18 of 2 Years in the Forbidden City. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by J.C. Guan. 2 Years in the Forbidden City by Princess Deling. Chapter 18. The New Year Festivals. We now reached the time set apart for cleaning the palace in preparation for the New Year festivals. Everything had to be taken down and thoroughly overhauled, and all the images, pictures, furniture, and everything else were subjected to a thorough scrubbing. Her Majesty again consulted her book in order to choose a lucky day on which to commence these operations, finally choosing the 12th day as being most favorable. As we all had received our orders previously, we commenced early on the morning of the 12th. Several of the court ladies were told off to take down and clean the images of Buddha and prepare new curtains for them. The rest of the cleaning was done by the eunuchs. I asked Her Majesty whether I was to clean her jewelry, but she answered that as nobody but herself ever wore it, it didn't need cleaning. After everything had been cleaned to Her Majesty's satisfaction, she prepared a list of names of the people she desired to attend the ceremony of Chu Shui. This ceremony was held on the last day of each year, and was something like the midnight services usually held in Europe on the last night of each old year, just a farewell ceremony to bid the old year adieu. The guests were invited about a fortnight ahead, so as to give them plenty of time to get ready. Her Majesty also ordered new winter clothing for the court ladies. The only difference between these new garments and those we were then wearing was that they were trimmed with the fur of the silver fox instead of the grey squirrel. The next thing was to prepare cakes, which were to be placed before the Buddhas and ancestors during the New Year. It was necessary that Her Majesty should make the first one herself. So when Her Majesty decided that it was time to prepare these cakes, the whole court went into a room specially prepared for the purpose, and the eunuchs brought in the ingredients: ground rice, sugar, and yeast. These were mixed together into a sort of dough, and then steamed instead of baked, which caused it to rise just like ordinary bread, it being believed that the higher the cake rises, the better pleased are the gods and the more fortunate the maker. The first cake turned out fine, and we all congratulated Her Majesty, who was evidently much pleased herself at the result. Then she ordered each of the court ladies to make one, which we did, with disastrous results, not one turning out as it should. This being my first year, there was some excuse for my failure, but I was surprised that none of the older court ladies fared any better, and on inquiring from one of them the reason, she replied: "Why, I did it purposely, of course, so as to flatter Her Majesty's vanity. Certainly I could make them just as well as she, if not better, but it would not be good policy." After we had all finished making our cakes, the eunuchs were ordered to make the rest, and needless to say they were perfect in every way. The next thing was to prepare small plates of dates and fresh fruits of every kind. These were decorated with evergreens, etc., and placed before the images of Buddha. Then we prepared glass dishes of candy, which were to be offered to the god of the kitchen. On the 23rd day of the last moon, the god of the kitchen left this earth to go on a visit to the King of Heavens, to whom he reported all that we had been doing during the past year, returning to earth again on the last day of the year. The idea of offering him these sweets was in order that they should stick to his mouth and prevent him from telling too much. When these candies were prepared, we all adjourned to the kitchen and placed the offering on a table specially placed for the purpose. Turning to the head cook, she said: "You had better look out now. The god of the kitchen will tell how much you have stolen during the past year, and you will be punished." The following day another ceremony had to be gone through, that of writing out the New Year greetings for the guests and court, so in the morning we all went with Her Majesty to the audience hall, where the eunuchs had prepared large sheets of yellow, red and pale green paper. Her Majesty took up a large brush and commenced to write. On some of these sheets she wrote the character Shou, long life, and on others Fu, prosperity. By and by, when she began to feel tired, she would get either one of the court ladies or one of the official writers to finish them for her. When finished, they were distributed to the guests and different officials, the ones Her Majesty had written herself being reserved for her special favorites. These were given out a few days before the New Year. Her Majesty received New Year presents from all the viceroys and principal officials. She would examine each present as it was received, and if it found favor in her eyes, she would use it, but if not, she would have it locked away in one of the storerooms, and probably never see it again. These presents consisted of small pieces of furniture, curios, jewelry, silks, in fact everything, even clothing. The present sent by Viceroy Yuan Shikai was a yellow satin robe, embroidered with different colored precious stones and pearls designed to represent the peony flower. The leaves were of green jade. It was really a magnificent thing, and must have cost a fortune. The only drawback was its weight. It was too heavy to wear comfortably. Her Majesty appeared delighted with its gown, and wore it the first day, after which it was discarded altogether, although I often suggested that she should wear it, as it was the most magnificent gown I ever saw. Once, when Her Majesty was granting an audience to the Diplomatic Corps, I suggested that she should wear this dress, but she refused, giving no reason, so nobody outside the court has ever seen this wonderful garment. Another costly present was received from the Viceroy of Canton, and consisted of 4 bags of pearls, each bag containing several thousands. They were all perfect in shape and color, and would have brought fabulous prices in Europe or America. However, Her Majesty had so many jewels, especially pearls, that she hardly paid any attention to them beyond remarking that they were very nice. The young Empress and the court ladies were also expected to give presents to Her Majesty each New Year. These were for the most part articles that we had made ourselves, such as shoes, handkerchiefs, collars, bags, etc. My mother, my sister and myself made presents of mirrors, perfumes, soaps and similar toilet accessories which we had brought with us from Paris. These Her Majesty appreciated very much. She was very vain. The eunuchs and servant girls gave fancy cakes and other foodstuffs. The presents were so numerous that they filled several rooms, but we were not allowed to remove them until Her Majesty gave orders to do so. The court ladies also exchanged presents among themselves, which often led to confusion and amusement. On this occasion I had received some 10 or a dozen different presents, and when it came my turn to give something, I decided to use up some of the presents I had received from my companions. To my surprise, the next day, I received from one of the court ladies an embroidered handkerchief, which I immediately recognized as the identical handkerchief I had myself sent her as my New Year's present. On mentioning the fact, this lady turned and said: "Well, that is rather funny. I was just wondering what had made you return the shoes I sent you." Of course, everybody laughed very heartily, and still further merriment was caused when, on comparing all the presents, it was found that quite half of us had received back our own presents. In order to settle the matter, we threw them all into a heap and divided them as evenly as possible, everybody being satisfied with the result. About a week before New Year's Day, all audiences ceased and the seals were put away until after the holidays. During this time no business was transacted by Her Majesty. Everything was much more comfortable, as we could see that Her Majesty also appreciated the change from bustle to quietness. We had nothing whatever to do but to take things easy until the last day of the year. Early on the morning of the 30th, Her Majesty went to worship before the Buddhas and ancestral tablets. After this ceremony was finished, the guests began to arrive, until by midday all the guests, numbering about 50, were present. The